From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, February the 21st, 2017. Jewish community centers were once again targeted with bomb threats this holiday weekend for the fourth time since the beginning of the year. Yesterday, Monday, 11 JCCs received phoned-in bomb threats. If you recall, JCCs across the country were also targeted 3 times in January for a total of 69 incidents at 54 JCCs in 27 states and 1 Canadian province overall. All proved to be hoaxes, and all JCCs returned to regular operations after the incidents. Director of Strategic Performance at JCC Association of North America, David Posner, said they were in close contact with the FBI, who was investigating the incidents, as well as making sure that all JCC staff members had the most up-to-date security training. U.S. President Donald Trump denounced the threats. He said at a press conference at the National African American Museum today,
"The anti-Semitic threats targeting our Jewish community and community centers are horrible and are painful and a very sad reminder of the work that still must be done to root out hate and prejudice and evil."
The Simon Wiesenthal Center called on the U.S. Attorney General to establish a task force to deal with the recent wave of threats. And a Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization has offered a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the threats. The Council on American Islamic Relations National Executive Director Nihad Awad said it is the duty of American Muslims to offer support to the Jewish community and any minority group targeted in the recent spike in hate crimes nationwide. Awad also noted the, quote, tremendous level of support offered to Muslim Americans by the Jewish community when Muslims were targeted by recent hate crimes. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wrapped up a 36-hour visit to Singapore and is on his way to Australia. Netanyahu met with Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong on economic and security issues and is now heading to Australia, the very first visit by an Israeli Prime Minister to the country. Netanyahu will meet tomorrow with Australian leaders, including with Governor-General Peter Cosgrove and Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, as well as take part in an event with Turnbull and members of the Jewish community at the Great Synagogue in Sydney. The Israeli soldier who was convicted of manslaughter earlier this year for the shooting death of a Palestinian terrorist was sentenced today. In March of last year, Elor Azaria shot Abdel Fattah al-Sharif after al-Sharif stabbed 2 other IDF soldiers and was subsequently shot and lay wounded on the ground. Azaria was sentenced to 18 months in prison for shooting the incapacitated terrorist in a case which has divided Israeli society, with those who condemn Azaria's actions and think his sentence is too lenient, and those who feel Azaria was acting to protect his fellow soldiers and should be pardoned. A Jewish cemetery in a St. Louis, Missouri suburb was vandalized this weekend. As many as 200 headstones were knocked over and damaged at the Chesed Shel Emet Cemetery in University City. Police were notified of the vandalism yesterday morning and are still investigating. Executive Director of the cemetery, Anita Fagenbaum, said she was devastated by the incident. She said officials were cataloging the damage today and notifying relatives whose families are affected. Director of the American Jewish Committee, St. Louis, Nancy Lisker, called the attack a painful act of anti-Semitism. The Vatican, together with the Jewish community in Rome, announced a joint exhibition this spring to be held in St. Peter's Square and the Rome Synagogue complex. It will exhibit some 130 menorahs and depictions of menorahs in art. Catholic and Jewish officials said the exhibition, which is called Menorah, Cult, History, and Myth, was another sign of greatly improved interreligious relations. It opens May the 15th. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, February the 21st. At 7 o'clock, the American Jewish Committee's Stephen Boehm speaks with Blue Greenberg of the Jewish Orthodox Feminist Alliance, or JOFA, as well as with Chaim Steinmetz of Kehilat Jeshurun and Anna Pava of Yeshivat Maharat on the future of modern Orthodoxy. At 8, from the JOFA conference, where Blue Greenberg and David Bigman discuss the Agunah crisis, women who are refused a Jewish divorce by their husbands. And at 8:30, another program from the conference, a discussion on sex education in schools with Simon Fleischer of SAR and Ora Weinbach of the Heschel School. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with former Chief Orthodox Rabbi of the UK, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, on L'chaim. And at 10, the award-winning Israeli miniseries now on JBS in Hebrew with English subtitles, A Touch Away. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's In the News. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, February the 21st, 2017. I'm Teisha Bader.